Hey, it's Steve. It's about belief. I wanted to talk about the knowing state. And I just did a short video on the game of life. But this is a lot more information. So, a while back in the early 20s, Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Hey, life is a game." And she wrote a book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. Now, that's a pretty good realization, and it's important information to know, but it's limited. It's a limited belief that I'd like to explore a little bit more here. But I want to talk a bit more about Florence because she talks about some very specific things that can be extremely helpful of when you're playing this game of life, because ultimately we want what we want. We want to feel good. We want to have fun. We don't want to be stressed out. We don't want to work so hard. And none of that is actually necessary if you know how to play the game of life. So Florence talks about basically just creating your own scenes in your own imagination. And she doesn't really talk too much about imagination, but she says, plan ahead, just expect things to happen. And she's come up with a lot of affirmations and mantras that you can utilize to create a better life. So, okay, we know that life is a game, and with the help of Florence Scovel Shinn, we know how to play it mostly. And so that's the first realization. The second realization is what I just talked about a little bit, is how to play the game. And but there's more to it than that. It's called law of attraction. And then there's many more things that have been added since Florence Scovel Shinn to the understanding. Now, Florence is not the beginning of this. Of course, we can go back 2,000 years and beyond into philosophers that knew, what we're learning now. And I guess we have to keep learning it because we came back to the planet without our memories. And so now we're having to start over every single time. So now we can use our imagination and connect that with the subconscious so that we can create our quote unquote future, realizing and understanding that there is no past or future. There's only the present, here and now. So right here and now is where we do all of our creating. And that's really important to know, because you don't want to go down different paths while you're trying to create something specific or even general. Maybe you just want a lot more freedom. And maybe the definition for you for freedom is, a lot more money. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's just not having to work so much and creating the same similar lifestyle. Maybe that's it. Or maybe it's freedom from pain from some physical element, or it could be freedom from a relationship that you don't really appreciate or don't like. Now, there are so many things that are shooting off in my head right here about all of that I just mentioned. So the second step is knowing how to play the game. And when I say the game of life. And really, we're here to have fun. It's supposed to be fun, right? And it's supposed to be easy. Now, if we go back and we read the Bible, and the Bible, says, God said, ask and it is given. Well, that sounds pretty easy. It doesn't say, ask, go to college, get a degree, get B plus average, go get a job, make some money, and then go buy it. It doesn't say to do that. It just says ask and it's given. Wow, can it be that easy? You know, it is that easy. But getting over the hurdle of what we've been taught or what we think, we believe is the challenge. And it's getting into those beliefs in our identity of who we think we are. And that's all it is who we think we are. And I would invite everyone who wants something different. Now, if you like everything that in your life is perfect, number one, you probably wouldn't be watching this video. And number two, then you would have already figured it out. So let's go back to that and say, all right, how do we create a better life? And we do that with our imagination. So now that's step one and step two. The game of life, we got to realize that it's a game. And then secondly, we know what the rules are. But at the beginning, I mentioned a knowing state. What's the knowing? Well, the knowing is way bigger than the game and the rules. The knowing is the realization that, oh, there's a cat out there. It caught my attention. There's a realization that it's a game, there are rules, and that each one of us individually is creating the game, making the rules, writing the script, creating the scenery, picking out the actors that are surrounding this play, if you will, this theatrical performance, creating the plots, the themes, quote unquote, the lessons, everything that goes along with it. So we are not only playing the game of life, creating the rules for the game, but we're also creating everything around the game. So there's parameters, rules, things, levels that you can reach, if you will. Find the hidden door, go through the hidden door, and now you reach a new level. What is that? Well, you found out that you've created these rules. Now you say, well, I think I want to change the rules. So yeah, you can change the rules. Maybe the first set or first level of the game was you cannot float or you cannot levitate. Maybe the second level, when you found the secret door, is to learn that you can levitate. Okay, that's a change in a basic rule because, we have gravity here. What about that? Well, maybe we don't have to pay attention to it in our next level of understanding of what the game is. So it's an expansion of ourselves, which really relates to the expansion of the universe. So when we help ourselves and we give ourselves a better, deeper understanding of ourselves, and then we start to realize that everything we see is ourselves, then any improvement that we make on each one of ourselves individually is an improvement on the whole. So if you want to help people improve on your own vibrational understanding, raise your vibration, your frequency, your output to as high a level as you possibly can. And this is the expansion of the universe. Now you're working for the Creator. Wait a minute. You are the Creator. How could it be anything else? The kingdom of heaven is within you, each one of us. So that means there's really no outside. Neville Goddard said that what we look at out there is actually ourselves pushed out. So if we're asking for something better or different, like a different relationship, I said earlier, maybe you're in a relationship that you'd like to get out of. Well, maybe your relationship with finances is one you'd like to change. Maybe your relationship with health, your physical body, is one you would like to change. Well, you don't do that out there. Why? Because it's a reflection of what's in here. We just said that. And it's really kind of difficult. It can be a challenge to keep that on the forefront of our mind. Albert Einstein said, all that we see is an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. So it keeps circling back around and catches our attention, brings us back in. But if we can turn our vision inward, anytime we see something we'd like to improve, then we are beginning to understand the power that each one of us has, that you have in creating your own life. And I mean, your game, you're the writer, producer, director. I've said it many times. I'm saying it a little bit different in this video. So the game of life is, number one, realizing it's a game. Number two, how do you play it? Number three, realizing that, oh, I am the game. I'm doing everything. I'm the console. I'm the television. I'm the actors. I'm the scenery. I'm the other people in the game. I'm the director. I'm the producer. I'm everything. So now you can change not this, but you can change the dialogue over here. You can change the themes. You can say, well, I'm tired of this relationship mismatch game. Well, you just reimagine a new one here. And then you don't have to change relationships physically out there. You don't have to get divorced or leave anybody. All you have to do is just change this. And they will change. Why? Because they're just a reflection of you. So that's what I want to talk about. So once you get into that space, now you're in a knowing space. You're in a very powerful, all-powerful space. And then at this point, just work on that.